Welcome everybody to the District 67 Pathways Interactive Online Training. And this evening we have a special event. This is, we have one very special speaker, Anson, who will deliver a very special workshop for us tonight. Now, Anson, for those of us, well, actually I think Anson is quite well known around the world. But Anson is the District 67 International Speech Champion. Actually, he's a double champion, 2013 and 2019. And also, recently, he delivered a TEDx speech. And so we're waiting for that to come out on YouTube, Anson. I can't wait to see that. And tonight, Anson's going to deliver a workshop called Get Your Humor On. So this is going to be about Anson sharing with us, teaching us how we can include some humor into our speeches. And he has a lot of different techniques he's going to share with us. And if we can add some humor into our speeches, I think our audiences will enjoy it all the more. So without further ado, I'd like to invite Anson.
Hey, good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Thank you for joining this webinar, and it's a great pleasure to be here. I'm glad that you have passed on Tenant and Mulan and other important activities, and you decided to be here tonight. I'm just going to jump right in to the presentation, and I would like to take everyone back 10 years. 10 years, I was in LA, California for the very first time. I can still remember the sun just peering over the mountains. All the tourists were waiting in the tour bus until suddenly we were interrupted. Okay, everybody look to the parking lot on the left. As you can see, the parking lot is empty. We are late. We are late because somebody is still sleeping and still late. He or she is late and we are late, and I don't like to be late. Now, for those who are thinking, this is a Hong Kong accent, and I know I have friends out there who are listening into this and they're thinking, Hong Kong people don't speak like that. When Hong Kong people speak English, we speak like Bruce Lee. Now, I had no idea, but Ken was the tour guide, and he introduced himself. My name is Ken. I live in LA for 18 years. I'm like, 18 years? Wow. Guess Ken doesn't speak English very much in LA. And he went on like that for the whole tour. He would be like, okay, everyone, I have a very good question from someone on the bus. This person asked, why we don't go to downtown? I said, that's a very good question. We not go to downtown. I say, you want to die, then we go to downtown, okay? Very danger. All the homeless people there, all the junkie there. You want to die, then we go there, okay? And it was like that for days and days and days. In fact, when we passed by important locations, he would just say, okay, everyone, look to the left. So beautiful. Okay, that's all. After the tour, I realized something so important. You see, Ken, he's been doing this for so many years, but yet I think he needs to work on his tour guiding skills. And so tonight, I would hope to help you guys sharpen your skills in humor in your speeches. I get a lot of questions about humor, and it gives me a great pleasure to be here tonight to talk about what makes things funny? Humor me. And why is humor important in a speech? Now, not all speeches are going to be humorous speeches. So I'm going to share with you some things about how much humor should we add to a non-humorous speech. Some people come up to me and say, Anson, how do you have humor in your speech? I'm not funny. I'm so afraid of delivering a joke and it's going to have crickets in the background. I can tell you that is a lie. And I'm going to share with you tonight the types of humor that you can have in a speech. There are various types of humor. And of course, when you have put everything together, I'm going to share with you how I build and deliver humor in a speech. Okay, so let's talk about speeches. Speaking, to me, is like going out on a date. You're having a conversation with the audience. And especially when it comes to Toastmasters, you want to have them coming back every single time. So I like to think of a speech like a blind date. You go on a blind date, you never know who you're going to meet. So you want to leave the best impression that you can. How can you get that person to say yes to another speech that you're going to deliver? Humor is going to be an awesome tool for you so that you can attract attention and get people to come to listen to your speech again. Now, science has shown that when you laugh, it releases the tension in your body. So I hope you kind of enjoyed the little opening with Ken, the tour guide, because now I have 45 minutes with you and you should be relaxed. There's something chemically that happens in your brain after you laugh, the endorphins, the dopamine and other chemicals that I'm not going to get into. I didn't take biology in high school. And so when you laugh, when you make people laugh, they just get comfortable in their seats. It keeps the interest up and it helps people to stay engaged with your message. So when you do your speech, it's not just about delivering the information, but it's about connecting with the audience. And last but not least, you want to leave a good impression. Like the blind date, you want to leave an impression so that when you ask for a second date, that other person will say, sure. So Maya Angelou once said, people may forget your message, but they will not forget how you made them feel. So remember, if you always let them feel good at the end, then you are successful. Now, we just heard, I hope you guys heard the world champion speech contest recently, and Mike Carr was crowned the champion, #1 in the world, and his speech was absolutely fantastic. Now, when it comes to humor, I was curious, how many times did he try to get the audience to laugh? And when I watched the speech, I counted about 12. Now, this year it was a virtual conference, so there's no live audience to really count how many times the audience did laugh. So I counted 12. So if you watch the video and it's available on YouTube, if it happens to be more than 12, then congratulations, you have a better sense of humor than I do. But I went from 2020 all the way back to 2013, and these are the number of jokes cracked in a speech. And surprisingly, it ranges from 7 to about 18. That's a lot of laughter in just 7.5 minutes. And if you think about it, each time that you make the audience laugh, it's gonna be at least 3 to 5 seconds. And if it's really, really funny, even longer than that. So something for you to know, how much the audience will laugh and enjoy your speech. So let's take a look at Mike Carr's speech. I took the liberty of editing the video, and because it's a virtual speech, there's no live audience. So I added in some canned laughter just to give you a feel of what it's like when he cracks the speech. So let me just play the video here.
Contest chair, fellow Toastmasters, I was in the 6th grade in Mrs. Montgomery's class watching an educational video where a sheriff was teaching us about writing while a bad guy named Bad English was shooting at him. It was on a film projector because we were technology challenged in my school. And as I watched that film, all of a sudden something started looking strange. The film slowed down, and when it picked back up, it made a sound like, and it looked like it was blinking. Then the sheriff was talking to us from the side of the screen. The blinking started again with a loud noise. Everything went blank. And so with focused energy, I started putting the projector back together. After 2 hours, it was whole. And Mrs. Montgomery said, let's try it. I reached up and I flipped the on switch. And there, out in front of us, projected onto the screen in all of its glory, was nothing. Nothing. The projector was dead. I still had to tell my parents. When I got home, I snuck in and I thought, if I just hide in my closet, they'll forget I exist. And I said, Mom, Dad, there's something I have to tell you. I love you, and I am scared of sheriffs. I don't know. I ran to my room. I choked. I couldn't think of anything to say. I thought, I'll tell them tomorrow. I crawled on my bed and I looked up at the ceiling and I thought, how do I get to Norway? Now, I know there are people from Norway in the audience, and can I just tell you, I don't know why Norway was my only safe haven on this planet at that point. Maybe I thought that Norway had made a deal with the UN that they would not let crazy librarians come into their country. But I got to school, I knew my time was up. I slunk to the library to find Mrs. Landon sitting there reading her newspaper. She was drinking out of this coffee mug. That's concerning.
Okay, so that was a feel for a world champion speaker to deliver humorous content. Now, Mike Carr was totally awesome, and I'll try to go over some of the techniques that he used to deliver his humor, because there's no one size fits all. He really just threw in the kitchen sink and tried to make us laugh.
Contest.
Okay. So the question is, in a non-humorous speech, where should I put my humorous parts, my jokes? Where should I put that? And I think it's best to start off right at the beginning to crack a joke or some humorous anecdote just to get everyone comfortable in their seats. And the audience will connect with you really well when you have a nice crafted joke. Now, in the speech, you can keep the interest up by throwing a little funny anecdote here or there, or if you have a joke. And then it's always to contrast the first part to your main message by using a joke. So before your main message, you can throw in a joke and maybe one as a nice little callback, and having people just really feel good and have a nice impression of you at the end of your speech. So I think that's where I would sprinkle in humor in a speech. And you don't need to worry about being funny or not. A lot of people say, Anson, I love how you put in some jokes and humor in your speech, but I'm not funny. Yes, your name is not funny, but you can be funny. You can be funny when you find the humor in what I like to call glitches in the system. Glitches in the system. If anybody has watched the movie Matrix, the Matrix shows that there are glitches in the world that we live in, okay? And when we find those mistakes, we laugh at that. It's funny. And mistakes are something that we don't want to happen, or we don't expect those things to happen, but when they do happen, it's funny. So being funny is not necessarily some skill that you need to work on. It's really just observing and finding glitches in the system and then delivering it to get those jokes. I'll give you an example. All married people usually have arguments and drive each other crazy all the time. Okay, this doesn't really have a glitch because you're just delivering a statement. Now, Kwang Ye Young, my good friend and a world champion speaker, he has a really good way of delivering things and showing a glitch. So in his speech, 4 words, everybody knows that someone who just drives him or her absolutely nuts. I could see all the married couples nodding their heads. In that video, and you can look it up in YouTube, the audience was laughing. Why? Everyone has that someone who just drives him or her absolutely nuts. The reason why it's funny is because that statement causes us to think about a friend or a coworker. And it's because there's this political correctness that is upon us. We dare not say something that would offend, right? So the norm is really married couples argue a lot, okay? If you don't argue a lot, married couples, then congratulations, you're an anomaly. So the audience didn't expect Kwang to say, I can see all the married couples nodding their heads. That's kind of a mistake. And therefore, the audience finds that really funny. Okay, here's another one. This really happened in 2015. I delivered a workshop right here in Kaohsiung, and I took a bathroom break, and then I realized that I had my wireless microphone on the whole time in the bathroom. Now I had to do a workshop in front of 100 people. I felt so embarrassed. Okay, when I deliver this in this way, there's not really a glitch. So if I deliver like this, I put my microphone on and I saw that I had about 1 minute left. I had to go quickly. I was in a bathroom doing my business on the toilet before my workshop. Whoosh. Oh no, my wireless microphone is still on. My wireless microphone is still on. How could I leave that on? Did the 100 people in the workshop hear the toilet flush? Yeah, now would be a good time to quit Toastmasters. So why was that funnier than the previous one? Everyone's thinking, wow, that's really embarrassing. He flushed the toilet with his wireless microphone on. But the thing that people didn't expect the mistake or the glitch would be a workshop speaker quitting Toastmasters right at the most important time. So finding the glitches is what makes things funny. So how do you develop a humorous joke? How do you develop a joke? It's really easy. One, you create a setup. You kind of make the picture, paint the picture of what's going on. Two, you build up the tension. You progress that story so that you lead the audience to go in a certain direction. And three, you completely change it so that the audience is like, aha, it's three. It's I don't want to eat my hand. No, right? So when you build a joke, you take an everyday situation, you find the glitch, and you deliver it in such a way to make the audience feel superior, to provide some sort of relief, or you lead the audience to go, huh? But in the end, the twist will make sense to the audience. And then last but not least, you say something that is just maybe almost a little taboo. Okay, now don't worry, if you're writing notes, I'm gonna go over these 4 different ways to deliver a joke. So if you make your audience feel superior, that's actually gonna be funny. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen YouTube videos where you see somebody fall down or you see some slapstick comedy. That is superiority, okay? That's just human nature. When we see something that makes us feel superior, we laugh, okay? So we see Homer Simpson there and his son Bart, insert brain here. That's funny. All right, Darren McCoy, world champion public speaking 2001. His speech, ouch. After 4 years of business school, I went for the American dream. I bought a Subway sandwich shop. Uh-huh. You're all impressed, I can tell. Well, I don't want to brag, but I took a $60,000 debt, and in 6 short months, I doubled that debt. Yeah, I turned my Subway sandwich shop into a nonprofit organization. So this was really funny because Darren LaCroix, he joked about the American dream by opening up a Subway sandwich shop, okay? And then he bragged about taking his debt, but then he doubled his debt. Completely unexpected. And then he compared the Subway sandwich shop to the Toastmasters audience, and we know that Toastmasters is a nonprofit organization. So that is unexpected and funny. Okay, relief. Relief is when you say the truth and it creates laughter. And the reason why is because there's some truth that is really difficult to say. Now, on the left is Beloved, and on the right is Chase. They are dogs, and they're really champions. They're champions of the world's ugliest dog contest. Now, that's really funny because the truth is they're really ugly. Sorry, Simone, sorry. I mean, they are ugly, but the truth is they won the ugliest dog contest, and that is funny. That is funny. I know they're looking at me and they're like, that's not funny. That's funny. Another one from the same speech, ouch. What do you do when you fall on your face? Do you try to jump right up and hope no one noticed? Or are you more concerned with what other people think and what you can learn from this? Again, it's reality, it's relief. And so the truth, the unspoken truth can make you laugh. Okay, how about incongruity? Twists that weren't expected. Let me tell you about how I joined Toastmasters. 10 years ago, I used to go to a pub with Robert Brooks every Thursday night. I was on my 4th beer when Robert suddenly said, "Hey, Anson, I think you should join Toastmasters." I'm like, "Toastmasters? What's that?" "It's a place where you can practice your public speaking skills and learn about leadership." I'm like, "Robert, you think I should practice my public speaking skills and learn about leadership?" "No, you just need more friends." What are you trying to say? Right? So that's totally unexpected, and usually when I tell that joke, people laugh. Or Kwang Young's Knock Knock. Growing up in Australia as a little Chinese boy, my parents always told me that there were 3 things I could be: a lawyer, a doctor, or a failure. Again, it's unexpected, but the truth is a lot of Chinese parents, a lot of Asian parents, a lot of Taiwanese parents, they expect their kids to do really well. And if they don't, they're failures. So that is really, really funny. And last but not least is called the benign violation. It's an ethical, social, or physical norm that's been violated. Basically, it's almost taboo, okay? Almost offensive. So let's listen into Muhammad Katani's 2015 Power of Words.
It can make a difference between someone accepting or denying your message. You can have a very beautiful thing to say, but say it in the wrong words and it's gone. I have a son who's 4, and he had this bad habit of writing on the walls with crayons. And one evening I walked into his room and he's going at it, just writing and drawing and so on. And I said, hey. Are you stupid? Don't you ever do that again. And guess what happened? He did it again.
Okay, so the benign violation was that he called his son stupid. Now, nobody will call a kid stupid, right? So if it's just left alone like that, it's a violation, but because it's his kid, it's a benign violation and it's funny. So these are the 4 ways to make people laugh in a speech. And the 1, 2, 3 will make them laugh. So how do you deliver this? How do you get this content out? Well, first, you got to write it. So in your writing, practice using puns and repetition or same sounding words. These are the kind of tools that will help you to get those jokes out. For example, in the 2013 World Champion, the car fell. The car fell. The jack collapsed. The car collapsed. My lungs collapsed. And he realized the gravity of the situation. So the pun is that first, collapse was for the car, but also his lungs. Gravity is the actual physics, and also that it is a serious situation. So that is where it's funny. And then you can also deliver your humor through body language, okay? And this was Adolf Lohr, the past president of my home club, LMAX Toastmasters. Woo! And he said, The girl I liked had a boyfriend. But one night, she called me, Adolf, I'm so sad. My boyfriend broke up with me. That's okay. Don't be sad. Okay? So that's funny on the stage. And Kwang Ye-young in his speech Ding Dong is the same thing.
So the four of us, we go off on our double date. We drive off to an amusement park, and the first thing they do is take me to a ride called the Crazy Cuckoo. It's called the Crazy Cuckoo because you have to be crazy to get on, or you're cuckoo when you get off. I look at the ride. I look at Andy. Yeah, I know. Why not? I get on the ride. We go up 10, 20, 30 meters. I think I'm going to die. 40, 50, 60 meters. I don't have life insurance. 70, 80, 90. We stop at the very top of the ride. Bang, down drops the roller coaster. Everybody screams. Everything goes up. My hair goes up. My face goes up. My blood pressure goes up. I try to close my eyes, but I can't close my eyes. I say, who, what, when, where, why? How am I going to die? I think I'm going to die. I'm going. I don't remember what happens, but I take my heart and my lungs and I put them back in the right place.
That's one of my funniest, one of my favorites. And another way to deliver humor is to impersonate someone, right? To pretend to be someone else. All right, so we have some pictures on there. Oh, hell no! You're not gonna impersonate Simone Nash. That'll get you killed. Yeah, I wouldn't impersonate Simone Nash. No, she's a nice lady. She's a nice lady. Besides, when she has a microphone, she might put it somewhere in your body that's not going to be very comfortable. I ride quarter mile at a time. You better not do it, brother. Better not do it. So when you impersonate someone and you can deliver something that is kind of realistic, it's funny. And another way to deliver humor is through Automatopeia. That means just making sound effects. So in my district speech, The Meaning of Blue, I pretended to be in a KTV. Pretty woman walking down the street. Hey, that's pretty good singing. Ha 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 ha. That gets the audience really laughing. And the same thing, like going down a hill, going down the ski slope. People enjoy those sounds and the realism, and making jokes out of that is great.
My body would be in the classroom, but my mind would be dreaming in a galaxy far, far away. While the teacher tried to curb my imagination and repeatedly told me to face facts, grow up, this is reality, I would be facing my nemesis, Darth Vader. When I left you, I was but the student. Now I am the master. Only a master of evil, Darth. Really? Tell me this then. What is the square root of 25? At this point, it would occur to me that my mind was required elsewhere. Light years away.
It wasn't my archenemy, Darth Vader, asking me the questions. It was my other archenemy, the teacher.
Okay, so just to recap, and I'm going to analyze a few more jokes. To make the audience feel superior is one method of making your jokes stand out. So in my speech, The Ticket, my parents used to buy the lottery ticket every single week for 15 years. And then finally, 5, 15, 18, 29, 35, 37. Yes, we won! Yes! Honey, we won! Quick, come over here. I didn't buy the ticket. Okay, so that would make the audience feel superior. And there are other ones too, like, I can understand that you might feel like running away when you get your name called to do a table topic speech. But it's nothing compared to when you get your girlfriend's name wrong. Believe me, one night I found out that my soul can run faster than my body. When it comes to work, I have a PhD in laziness. Yes, I'm an expert at procrastination. I put things off so much that I think I will call the dictionary editors to put my picture next to the word procrastination. I'll do it another day. Okay, relief. When it comes to table topics, I'm always the first one to be silent. Okay, so it's relief. Don't you hate it when you go to a speech contest and another contestant comes up to you and says, "Are you ready?" Are you ready? You want to see how people react when 7 minutes and 30 seconds of their lives go missing? And this was from my district contest. I fell in love with my boss and I married her. It's called job security.
My mama always said, life is like a box of fortune cookies.
Okay, so that was incongruency. So unexpected twists. I went to 9 by 9. It's a stationery store. Yep, I can confirm that it wasn't moving. Four is considered to be an unlucky number. It means death. 8 is a lucky number because it means fortune. Do you know which number is the most romantic number? My phone number. Okay, then last but not least, benign violation.
The movie theater was quiet. The aroma of overpriced popcorn permeated the air. You settled in for the perfect family outing, and then it happened. The film that you were watching took a sudden emotional turn. You try to resist it, but you can't help it. And before you know it, your eyes begin to sweat. You may not care that people see you crying in public, but the last time this happened to me, I was thankful the theater was dark. Until my lovely young daughter, who doesn't know it's okay to whisper, pierced the darkness with, "Are you crying?" Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, and anyone who's ever gotten misty at the movies, Never ignore inquisitive children. The longer you do, the louder they get. In a matter of seconds, my daughter shouted, "Why are you crying, Daddy?" When this happened, the movie that my family and I were watching was The Rookie. On the surface, it's a movie about the oldest rookie in professional baseball, but on a much deeper level, it's about reclaiming life's missed opportunities. When the movie ended and I realized what a great teaching opportunity I had, I turned to my two sons and I said, "Guys, what did you learn from this?" Imagine how proud I was when my 16-year-old said, "I learned that my dad cries at the movies." My 12-year-old took the question and his well-being a bit more seriously.
So the benign violation there was that crying in the movies is on its own, it's a little violation, but because it's not our children, so it's okay and it's really, really funny. So I hope you enjoyed today's presentation about humor in a speech. So humor is when there's a glitch in the system, and when you find that, it is just funny. And then when we find those mistakes and we don't expect those things to happen, hey, put it in your speech. It's gonna make people laugh. You do it through writing, you do it through body language, and you do it through your voice. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope to hear your speech and get a lot of laughs. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Anson. Wow, it's absolutely wonderful. And right now it's time for the Q&A session. And please type your questions in the chat box and I will ask Anson. So the first question, let me just stop sharing. Okay, the first question is from our PQD Doris. So what should I do when people don't laugh at our humor?
That's a very good question. And it has happened to me, so it's not something that you should be really fearful of. And what I've learned is that if something doesn't work, just move on. And of course, at the end of your speech, and your evaluator will probably give you tips on how to craft your joke better. It's better just to just go through it and not be too concerned about whether or not the audience will laugh. Because if you pause and you think about it, it actually creates nervousness, which could make things a little worse. So if you don't get any laughs, that's okay. Just kind of check it in your mind and just move forward.
Okay, thank you, Anson. And how do you, when you prepare a speech, how do you know it's going to be funny? Like, do you practice on some people? Because sometimes we think it's funny, we think our speech is funny, a joke is funny, but then when we do it in front of our audience, we don't get the laughs that we expect.
Yeah, that's actually a very great question. And in fact, it's been written in the Toastmasters magazine that it's always good to practice your speeches, practice your jokes with members of the audience. So this is all part of getting to know your audience and knowing what will make them smile, what will make them laugh. So you'll see in like champion speeches that a lot of the jokes, really the speakers know what the audience is gonna laugh at. So I just encourage everyone to spend some time with your club members, go to the second round and just have a nice conversation, crack some jokes. And if they laugh at some of the things that you say, that's gonna be really good material for you to use in your future speeches at the club or even getting to know people in the area or division. So just try out different things in different settings and you'll get a feel for your audience.
Okay, thank you, Anson. Okay, the questions are all flooding in right now. So, okay, Yunling from China Club's asking, how can we train our vocal variety for humor?
Okay, that's a very good question. When I started actually, quote unquote, training, I was inspired by Roger Love. He was the keynote speaker at the 2013 International Convention, and I was there live. And he was the one that really inspired me to just watch YouTube videos and just start mimicking people. And what happens after that is I plug those voices into my speeches, and it just gives me a chance to have a wider range of vocal effects or vocal variety. And yeah, just keep on trying different things. And tonight, I didn't dare try to mimic Simone Nash because, you know, I want to live. But no, just kidding. But just try out different things, and you just never know which voice will get the laughs from your audience.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and next question is also about vocal variety. So I think that should be okay. What's the best way to practice and find good sources for humor?
I think, well, I watch a lot of stand-up comedy. So I like to watch Russell Peters. I used to watch Chris Rock. There's a new, well, he's not really new now, but Ronnie Chang. Ronnie Chang's really funny. So I encourage people to watch stand-up comedy or talk shows because they tend to really deliver some really polished jokes, and you can see their setup, you can learn their setup, and then when you apply that to your speeches, then you know it's something that you can try. So get to know some of the big names in comedy, and you can sense how they view normal day living, and then change that perspective to make it really funny.
There's a question from Max, but I'm not very sure what it means. What he has typed is, do you drag things in the presentation if there isn't anything funny in the topic? Not quite sure.
Oh, okay. I think I know what he means. I think he means, do you plug new material in if there isn't anything funny? The answer is yes. And one of the techniques that I use sometimes to elevate the humor in my speech is that I use material from previous speeches in the same meeting or in a speech contest. So I would immediately apply, for example, like some message from the previous speaker, and then when I plug it into mine, then the audience will not expect that. And that's really funny. So it's like a glitch. Like, how come Anson talking about some other guy's speech? So yes, I do drag in some material into my speech just to make it funnier.
Okay. And I think it's also another repeat question. How do you find material, humorous material? I think you've mentioned that already, right? Just in everyday life?
Yeah, it really is just observing things and just normal things and just changing it in a way that you can find a glitch. So again, in my presentation, you can talk about something that is kind of taboo, almost taboo, or you can find reality that isn't really talked about. So one great example was in my presentation about table topics. You know, most people, they tend to be silent in table topics. So if you can just turn that into a little glitch, then it becomes really funny. So just take a look at everyday situations.
Okay. And Yet another question about vocal variety. I guess this is very important. So the question is, if the vocal variety is not as good as expected, what can we do to make our voice better?
Okay, well, I'm gonna throw this one out there, fellow Toastmasters. If your club wants some training on vocal variety, I'll try to put something together, and maybe we can do a workshop on vocal variety. But to get you started on vocal variety, the first thing is to practice being loud enough. And one way to do that is that in your meeting, you can set your if the room is small enough, of course, is set down your microphone and just practice being loud enough in a room. That will cause your vocal cords to have that strength to produce sound. And then when you have that strength, then you can have vocal variety. But if you're used to speaking in a certain volume all the time, it becomes a little difficult to have a lot of variety in your vocal cords. So the first thing I would do is put down the microphone, just try to project your voice all the way to the back of the room, and that's gonna really get you off on a good start for practicing for vocal variety.
Okay, and Elvis from HP Toastmasters, he said that he recently went to a stand-up comedy club to practice his humor. He learned a lot from your speech today, and he wants to know if he can share some of the skills that you have talked about today with his comedy club.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this isn't a secret or anything. Really, humor is psychology. It's psychology, and it's the way we view things. It's no secret that when we find mistakes, it's funny, okay? So even a grammarian, a language evaluator said, I caught a mistake from Anson. Anson made a grammar mistake. Yes, right? And people laugh. So just find a glitch in the system, something that was a mistake, that something shouldn't have happened. Write it down or keep a mental note, and that's humor. That's humor. So Elvis, share the love and make everyone laugh, because we sure need it these days.
Okay, so, and then another question, no shortage of questions tonight. Let's see, how much humor do you need in a speech? I think that's a good one.
I think it depends on yourself, and it also depends, okay, I think there are three factors. One would be the nature of your speech. So if you're gonna tell a humorous speech, then just go for it. Just go for it. All the humor, just put it all in there. If it's a serious message, I don't think you're gonna put too much humor in there. And if it's really some keynote speech, like something that's really, really important, maybe there are times when you don't need to add humor at all, because you want the audience to be totally focused on your message. So it depends on your message. Then it also depends on your audience. So if you're going to be in front of a lot of CEOs, you might, actually that also depends too. If the CEOs are from companies that are really, lively, they're hip, they're young, then okay, I think it's okay to add some humor. But if you have like those heavy hitter CEOs and you're going in there and you're cracking jokes left and right, I don't think it will be received very well. So it just depends on your message, and it depends on the audience.
Okay, two quick last questions. In an international setting, how can we avoid cultural, sexual, racial, offensive humor?
I think that is a very, very tricky scenario because in an international speech contest, or international speech, you have literally hundreds of different cultures and viewpoints. And yes, there is what is called benign violation, which means you can crack a joke that's almost taboo, but you don't want to cross the line, because once you cross the line, then it's not funny. And in fact, the person may not enjoy your speech for the rest of the speech. So what you want to do is you want to keep it universal. Okay, so in Muhammad Khatami's example, The Power of Words, he used his own kid to create laughter. And later in the speech, he pretended to be a scientist, right? And so it wasn't enough to offend anyone, but he might have offended some scientists, but he probably said, okay, that's not going to offend that many people. Great question. I think it's just doing something universal is the safe way to go when it comes to delivering humor in an international setting.
Okay, I think that's all we have time for Q&A. Thanks for all the great questions, and thank you so much, Anson. What a wonderful job you did. I think it's not easy doing this kind of workshop to a online audience. And now, if I can ask our slide master, Peter, to show the certificate, please. I'd like to present the certificates. Yes, thank you. So first of all, I'd like to thank our online team. It takes a village to pull off an event like this. And so the spotlight can be, okay. So the online team is actually from YSTC. So Anson, if you remember YSTC, you were the coach a couple of years ago, right? Yay, we are the online team today. And so we have President Peter Chen, I have Elaine Chen, Vincent Chen. Oh, the Chen family is here. No, not really. Oh, I cracked a joke. Okay. And then Jason Fu, thank you. And so wonderful job, everybody. And then next, our certificate is to our speaker, Anson. So thank you so much. So would you like to pose, and our photographer will take a screenshot? Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Thank you. And Peter, next slide. Okay, now it's time for a group photo. Group photo, everybody. So if your camera if your camera is not on, then please turn it on. And our photographer, Elaine, are you ready? Please, before you go, Peter, next slide, please. If you don't mind, please give us some feedback for tonight's event. This is the QR code for a feedback form. So I'll just give you a second to take a picture of this. I will also post the link for this in the Facebook post that I will make after the event. Okay, so Peter, next slide. Yes, and this is the final slide. I just want to mention that in October, we have at least 2 events. Both at the moment are Chinese. We're looking to add an English event in the middle. So the first event on October 7th is about the Pathways Mentor Program. In Taiwan, we only have two members who have completed the Pathways Mentor Program. And one of them is this lady, Ge Shulan. So she has DTM, she also has PW Mentor Program, these letters at the end of her name. And then October 31st, we have a session on effective evaluations. So why is this under a Pathways training? Because in level 1, we all have to be an evaluator, and we have a member to evaluate us, right? So we need to boost our evaluation skills. And who better to do this to help us than William Cho? He's a master evaluator, and he will be teaching us on October 31st. So welcome everyone. You can register on the District 67 website. So that's all for tonight, and let's have another screenshot on another view on Anson before we say goodbye. Jason, can you? Jason? Okay, all right. So final wave to Anson. Thanks a lot, Anson. Absolutely awesome. Okay, good night, everyone. Thanks for attending. Thank you.